But that's a time acceleration too, because that dark agenda is playing out way too quick. There
Yes.
hasn't been enough time
Yeah.
for that to permeate within culture for it to be accepted. It's been pushed too quick.
Yeah. I totally agree. It's like they jumped the
Yeah.
gun and they had to go far, at a sooner time or something. But
Yeah.
and all it's ended up doing is exposing them all.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, Tartaria, Australia. G'day, Cambell, and hello, Dale. You're back in the house with us. We haven't caught up with you for it's almost a year. Has it almost been a year? I can't believe it.
Longer.
Far out, man.
Who even knows? Who even knows about time, man? Gosh.
Yeah, the slippery concept of time. It's falling through our fingertips.
Like sands through the hourglass.
Through the hourglass.
Days of our lives.
So, well, look, heads up, Dale. Tell us where you've been. What have you been doing, man? Like, we haven't seen you for ages.
I don't know. I can't fit the whole year. You remember days of our lives. I had an Italian grandmother who, she spoke maybe 20 words of English, but she watched that every day. And she knew the plot. That's it. Yeah.
We had Days of Our Lives in Santa Barbara. That's what I watched when I was sick, home from school at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
I heard one because I bought David Icke's audiobook. This is the second audiobook I've bought now, and I'm like, I don't think I'll ever read again because you can smash a book out. Like if you're doing long drives, it's like 2 days drive and you've read a book. And then, But he was talking about when he used to host the snooker, and they had, I think it was 50 million people watched it.
What?
In England in 1980, and he said that will never be achieved again because remember we grew up, there's 3 channels, so that's how much they could program. You could just put something on there and everyone was watching it, whereas now there's so much that
isn't it true? Like everyone Saturday morning, it was the cartoons, wasn't it? Until you hit 14, 15, then it was Rage. I
can still I've got real good music trivia memory, and it's because I watch Rage so much. I could always tell. I knew what song came out, what year, how long it was number one, because that's all there was, right?
Yep. I actually, whenever I had to stay at a hotel now and actually put on the TV, it's like the first time in, with these big year chunks in between, and oh my God, I just get mind blown at the level of stupidity, the level that it comes in at TV, the programs that are on there, the repeats. It's just, compared to the engagement we do with sort of now we can watch YouTubes and really home in on what we actually want information on, really amazing, smart human beings talking. And then you turn on the TV and it's like, wow, man, who has the lower brain cells to even deal with this, even in entertainment? It's so bad. It's so bad.
It's so bad.
It's been a pretty awesome world though, because I've said it a million times, the internet had to be brought in for control, but it was a double-edged sword. It's been this battle between, because they had to allow the free flow of information and they've tried to clamp it down, but it's been to their detriment, I think, more than the control, even though it looks the other way.
Yeah, I agree. I think that they thought we were all a lot more programmed than we were, or at least there's a portion of us that weren't as programmed, and they didn't sort of expect that. They went it out and went, it's just going to be like TV. We'll just control them all, and everyone went, hang on, we can put our own shows on.
They had to give us free will too, so that's part of the concept. And yeah.
Our parents, they watched game shows, man. Game shows, Sale of the Century, Price is Right, Perfect Match. Do you remember that one? The Perfect Match.
Greg Evans.
Greg Evans.
Sale of the Century. We used to watch Sale of the Century every night.
Oh my God, it's so hard to imagine.
It was probably all crap, but at least your brain was working. Now, what do kids watch? TikTok.
Yeah, way more seedier, dark devilish things. Sound of the Century seems very sweet, doesn't it, really?
Oh, yeah, man. With Tony's little dance as he ran in. Woo.
Tony Barber. I used to watch that shit when I was young, and they're all like adult trivia questions. I didn't know anything, but we still had to watch it. There was nothing else.
Yeah.
Yep.
But that was good.
Well,
Like I used to start, I used to start like competing with the old man. It's like, hang on, if I'm going to watch this, I'm going to learn something, and you're doing something,
Yeah.
Mm.
Man, it was boring, very boring times on those TVs. Very boring in the afternoons. Oh my God, and Sundays kill me now. They were the
Back in the
worst.
olden days, I used to have to get up, go to the TV and turn a little dial to get a different picture. I remember we actually had our first video recorder, like our VHS, had like a remote control, but you had to plug it in. It had a cord on it. You plugged it in and you sat there with this cord thing.
When there was actually nothing on TV, you got that like round thing with the like colors.
It would actually stop at midnight or something. Go boo.
Yeah. They could have that on 24/7 at this point.
we used to have sleepovers when we were like 12, and we'd wait till world movies come on at 1 o'clock to like see like a nipple or something.
Yeah.
See the boobs on SBS.
Right. The uncensored. Yeah. I think that's how we all went through puberty, was those
late night wait till 1 o'clock
foreign films. All right, well, like Dale, so you've been in Thailand, like that's cool, man. You actually got to travel again after sort of the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Any amazing epiphanies from that experience?
Yeah, the whole thing was, it was pretty interesting, because I saw I just read, it said, oh, Thailand, you don't need the jab, and I'm like, I go, oh, fuck it, I'm going. And then I had this whole thing, oh, what if, blah blah, and I said, no, I'm just gonna do it. And then like 2 days before I was meant to leave, I get an email from the airline and they say, oh, sorry, Thailand's brought in vaccination. And I'm like, you're joking. Like, and then anyway, so then I'm like, oh, bugger this. I started driving up the coast, and then someone sent me a thing saying, oh, Thailand's just reneged. So that they had it for 2 days, which happened to be the day that I was flying. And I'm like, I always think, there's always a reason for everything. I wasn't meant to go. And then I thought, no, I really still want to go. But what was my intention? My intention was I was going to go up to this little town I usually go in Plight and just chill out, but I was probably going to do a lot of drinking. And then I'm like, no, I'll change my intention. I'll go over there and I'll do a fitness camp. And then so I booked it, and then I was only going to stay a week, and then ended up doing like 3.5 weeks of this camp, and I didn't touch a drop of alcohol, just strict eating, and I actually really, like, a year not working, I didn't realize how much I missed like discipline, routine, structure, all those. I really, really loved it, and I just got into it. So it was great, and my actual, everything kind of, once I got my body, because I've watched these guys online, the big, but they're all fucking working out. I'm like, they are the biggest wankers. I'm like, oh. And then I started doing it. I'm like, I'm one of those wankers. But then I finally, I was actually like, I feel fantastic. And not so much just physically, but like mentally good. So yeah, I kind of want to just maintain that. The guy wrote me up a program and stuff, so I'm just gonna awesome. So I think I learned that a bit, was just to like look after my body a lot more, and how much of that you just got more energy, and you're more creative too.
And it was it's a big detox. You must have sweated out half your body weight. And it's interesting that you say it was all to do with intention, right?
Well, I changed my intention, and it was just completely different. And I've never seen Thailand like that before. I was in like this quarters where it's just all fitness camps. So you kind of go out at night, but like there's no temptation to like drink or
there's no drug cozzies walking around.
It's like shit, I've got to get up at we've got bloody Pilates at 7 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, right.
So yeah.
Wow, man, that sounds awesome. I'd love to do that.
Hear you. Yeah. I mean, I've moved on to my farm, which is behind me. I thought I'd leave the background off today. And yeah, I mean, I've been loving being physical again, and just sweating it out and hurting my body and carrying stuff, and just getting into the actual like building the farm. It's so much everything about it glows comparatively to sitting on this damn computer. I tell you, I just love it so much. And I know so many Australians have like fled to the rural environments and are, you know, really getting to be grounded now in that sort of, you know, deep, earthy, like nature of surviving off the grid. Like it takes a lot of time.
It does, but I mean, I think that's where we are. You know, we've all spent 2-3 years in front of computers, right? Getting all this information and, you know, passing stuff around, and it's time to get off our butts and go out and do something, start actually being creators. You know, we kind of worked out in the last 2 years that we are the creators, right? If you didn't know before then. So yeah, it's time to start creating.
Well, Dale, so the last conversation Cambell and I had, we were talking about, obviously everyone's talking about this AI that's come in, and we were talking about, you know, that versus like this concept, this new earth potential that's sort of like flourishing at the moment. And, you know, we're talking about the new earth being an actual physical construct that is literally building right in the middle of this old control grid as we speak. And, you know, it's good to have that conversation, because I think for many of us over the last couple of years, that new earth conversation has been sort of like hand in hand put into this category of, you know, like we're going to arrive there, or we're going to ascend to it, or we're going to like find a way out of the realm, or we're going to like deprogram ourselves enough to suddenly be like, you know, see it for the first time. And I was just like, actually, this thing is growing right now in the middle of our current reality. And this AI thing that's sort of like really heavily been introduced in the last 2 months is just like catapulted the creation of that new earth construct. So eventually we're looking at sort of it as it grows. And to me, I started to really chew on, you know, what actually is this new earth? What is it? Like, let's take out all the lofty concepts and all the spiritual concepts and like look at the nitty gritty of how we define this new earth. So I'd love to start there and ask you your thoughts on where you stand with that construct, that ideal, that version of reality, where it fits, how it's going to unfold, what it is through your thought process.
It's I mean, the whole thing for me is that like we're symbiotic with the planet. If you look at us as a fractal of the creator, and the earth is as well. So it's if we're changing, then the earth changes. If the earth changes, we change. It's like, so it's both. It's happening, and I see the earth as like she's been there. She's actually like facilitated this whole experience for us. So like, if you think of the burden that entity to come down and manifest as what she is, like think about that for a sacrifice, to have like 7 billion other compressed souls, just to, you know, and the shit that she's had to go through, that they're both going to happen at the same time. But the way I see it with AI, I actually watched Terminator Genesis the other day. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
It's like the film. Oh man, there's so many good things in that. But I noticed in like every Terminator, right, they go to kill the source of the AI before it happens, and they never do it, right? And in Genesis, they kill off the malevolent AI, but the Arnold AI, they kind of say that it stays alive. And it just dawned on me that within a certain realm of the universe, in the lower realms of the AI controls, because there's a way I see it is there's a point in the universe that technology doesn't exist, but in the lower realms it does. But in the lower realm, that AI will always exist. There will always be, and even like the concept of how we look at it, that we call it artificial, that it's still part of the creator itself. It's actually put there as like, I know how much like you've gone into simulation and stuff, Cambell, that it is a simulation, and I believe there's like a fake creator of this simulation, but even that itself is working on behalf of the creator. It's just it's still put there, and because you get this whole concept that people go, oh, it's just a simulation, oh, it doesn't mean shit. It's like, no, it's a purposeful simulation. Even the false simulation is still like you entered it with intent. And this is kind of why, like, I always have a go at like religious dogma that says that we're born of sin, because I hate that. I hate that. And because if you just think, because there's so many on the planet that that have that strong belief system that you are born of sin, and that ultimately that means you must be saved. So just changing that whole concept of being born of sin to, no, I'm here of intent, And all I think it is like the new earth is, you know, that little intuition you get in your heart. You're like, you can't explain it. You're like, you try and research it to put the logic to connect the heart to the head to the heart. But that intuition, that's coming from outside the simulation, right?
Yes.
That's coming from where your soul is, where your whole. And all I see that the new earth is bringing that part of you that's connected to the creator or source, and even beyond that, into this reality. It's just syncing that with this. So it's not even about building anything new. It's a perception that changes to know that I am that, and therefore the physical world will change. And then and people even, because they always talk about how we're going to do it. And it's the moment you're thinking, again, that's the head, right? But and you should be taking part in that process of how we're going to do it. But if you're completely focused on how it's going to manifest, you've lost the point. It's just like, it's all an internal thing, and it will manifest in however it's done, you know, and by the individual doing your own creativity.
Yeah. Just got to become it, you know.
Yeah.
Not,
I don't remember what the question was.
Well, you answered it well. But yeah, I mean, that's how I see it too. Like the whole demiurge, you know, kind of concept is, you know, that because a lot of people think, you know, it's a prison planet, right? But I kind of see it more as it's a creation that, you know, we've signed on to. We've agreed to come down here, but then there's this demiurge, which is the false god, which we sort of mentioned it last week, Kelly, that it seems to be technology, right? That kind of seems to be right? Electricity, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's there to teach us. Everything that's going on now, right now, it literally is the apocalypse. Everything's being shown to us. Everything's being unveiled, right? All these politicians, we're seeing who they really are. All these actors, all these, you know, musicians and bands we followed, you know, for years. We're suddenly going, oh, hang on, what? They're not who I thought they were. So, and ultimately, it's all to make us grow and to see more, right, and become more aware and to get, you know, to raise our vibration. I think because, you know, this is a thing like where, you know, they say 70% water, and so is the world, right? So with Dr. Emoto's work, you know, as energies rises, you know, you've seen the ice crystals where they change their form. We're going to do it at the same time as the Earth, right? I think. But I think where the barometer, you know, we can go as fast or as slow as we want, depending on how much people want to hold on to or let go of the, you know, the past, right? The old world.
Well, when I did my first little deep dive, I have to confess now, the last couple of months I've been a little bit rocky. I've been a little bit like, I may have lost my faith a bit here. And I went through this sort of like flat line at time where I was just like, oh, I don't know what's the purpose and point of all this is, and I could feel myself like falling into self-criticism. And of course, that is the removal of self-love. And when you go down that pathway, it's slippery because then you're finding a lot of reasons to be feeling pissed off and hardly any to be feeling grateful for. So I went through this whole period, and it got triggered by one of our podcasts before Christmas arriving on the fact that the magician behind the carpet, behind the magical curtain, may end up being elves and dwarfs. And then I was like, well, fuck this. Like, I was like, that's enough for me. I'm like, I'm out of this dialogue. Like, I can't do anything with that information. Like, I hit a wall, right? And then I went through this process, and then I lost my license for not voting. And then I was like, double fuck this. I'm like, those were the two things. This reality, that reality, I'm in the void. And so I went through this thing, and like what brought me back was I actually had to start to look at, you know, like the purpose of this life experience we're having now. And I started to flip over to, holy shit, like we're actually living, our lifetime, we have had the privilege of being souls down here in this realm that's been there when they introduced friggin' television. I mean, we just opened up this show on the 3 friggin' stations, people. That's what we had growing up, and it turned itself off at midnight. And then we were here when they introduced email, and we were here when they introduced mobile phones. Like, we've been here at this like lifetime where this artificial, you know,
entity. Oh,
itself to us very powerfully and integrate into our lives. And at the same time, through Tartaria, we've been sort of studying the last great period, I guess, where we draw evidence that they are in a very beautiful organic structure around them, enabling really healthy, high vibration. This is all obviously the possibility. We don't know for sure, but the technology was, it offered healing and health and vitality and beauty and grace, and everything looked beautiful and worked. And it seemed to represent the last really use of organic technology. And here we are, flipped into this lifetime, 2 lifetimes past the last reset potentially, and we've flipped over to the inorganic technology, and we get to experience this, like we get to see it. I mean, what a fucking trip. It is a brilliant trip to know that. We've been through these 2 massive pendulum swings of control structures and the different templates, the organic one and the inorganic one. Then here we are maybe at the crescendo of the inorganic one, and in the middle of it, the organic one springs back up again. It's like, I love it. So I fell back into gratitude, thank God, because I was getting a bit grumpy on the podcast.
That's all natural, because like if you go the base form of what the universe is light. Light is an expression of polarities. So yeah, there's always going to be both. It's life's an expression of contrast.
Well, how do you know what's good if you don't know what's bad, right?
Exactly. And but that, because you've said gratitude too, like that's how I see the AI. You don't have an option or know what to go to unless you know what this synthetic is. You don't, and it's horrible to think, like some people don't get this, but the whole Satanist and who and what they really are at a higher level, that it's all in agreement. It's co-creation.
Yeah.
And you're not. It's only your earthly ego that, and that doesn't mean you challenge them and you accept it, but you understand and have gratitude for what they are.
Yeah, I always put that down to different creation stories, like we have different creation stories and we're coexisting together to fulfill those creation stories. So with that perspective, it's not judgeable. It just is what it is. It's like being here with, horses and snakes. Like they represent 2 different creation myths. They do. One you can have really heartfelt relationship with, like that mammalian relationship with, and the other you absolutely cannot. And they coexist around me out here all the time. Goannas and chickens, they've got totally different creation stories, and their drive forward is essentially different. So I do see that on the higher scale with humanity, and then above humanity and above that there's different creation.
Do you know what you're right about though? Because you said like we've experienced all that in our lifetime. Just even the chance that you were born, that, because we were talking about time acceleration before we came on, and it's like, so all the how many million years of like evolution or whatever, and the pace that this agenda has moved in the last 30-40 years, and then like the chance that you happen to be here at this time, and then like what really is the interest in Tartaria? It's just the interest in human potential. That's where the core interest in Tartaria is. It's, well, like our potential's that and greater.
Yeah, it's giving us a different perspective. This is another version that you could go to, because we've been so programmed to think that this is the only option, right? Like we all go through it. When you hit 17, 18, you're told the only option is, what are you doing, uni or a job? How and no one wants to do it. And everyone's like, fuck, I just want to go
what's the third option?
Party, man, go away. And so
what's the third option, Campbell?
Yeah, what's the third option?
Who's lying to me? That's the third option. I know someone's lying. Find out what this lie is all about. And become a truth seeker.
Yeah, and that's it. And so if that's our only belief, then that's all we can create, right?
Yeah.
And so this new information, and this is the thing, it's not a coincidence that it's come up at this point, right? At this point in time, even though it doesn't exist, that all this information which about the past is coming up. Plus we've got all, the stuff like orgonite and tensor coils and tuning and vibration and all that, which are technologies, right? We're starting to learn about geometry gives off, you know, fields, and so all the architecture is, it's literally the way it's designed. The geometry is the tech in itself, you know. So we're at the point where, you know, we talked about it last week. We've got an option. We can go, you know, into the 15-minute cities and go with AI, or we can go with, you know, HI, right, human intelligence, and we have all that tech built in. You know, all this kind of stuff. We don't need the internet. We can communicate without wires and all this, you know, and we don't need all these circuits and
Almost.
we can build all this stuff that just works, free energy. So that's how I see it. And that's what getting out and building that is, you know. We get a choice. We can go out and build the new Earth, if you want to call it that. Or we can go into a 15-minute city and then, you know, in 3 years lose our minds, I guess.
Well, I mean, it's like at the tail end of all of this. I mean, you know, the three of us have been on like these tangents for many decades now. It's not like it's been the last 2 years. And you know, looking at, you know, what is this? What is reality? Who are we? How is this all a bit? But you know, I mean, the end of that, like, we know that it's just a frequency-based situation we're in. I mean, it's all frequency, it's all vibration. Yep. So like, and I think with the truth-seeking pathway of the last couple of years, heavily we've gone down into really homing in on what is the lie and what is the deception. And I think the flip now, as and the new earth is such a weird term. We might need to come up with some, but like the flip now into this alternative version of existing here is it's a vibrational one, right? It's a frequency specific flip. Like you're understanding that everything can coexist, but it's like, what frequency band are you going to settle into? You know, because I sat down the other day on Sunday with a friend, and we sat there and we meditated into the earth. Like we just did a full blown, as long as we could handle it, meditation. And the most dominant message that came through for both of us was like, you've done it. Like, settle in, relax. You can actually have fun for the next 10 years. Like, be at peace. Like, be in joy now. You know, like, you're here. You've landed. Like, it's cool. It's good. I've got this. Like, I just got I've got this. Like, you don't need to change, shave, fix, heal. I've got this. Like, just like, relax.
Be
just
a
relax.
Human being.
Just like,
well, I mean,
do you like? Sorry, yeah.
It's a good point. There's just so much info out there at the moment, isn't there? Do this. You need to do this. You need to do that. You know, when really, I mean, and I can see, you know, a lot of people obviously need to leave their baggage, right? Get rid of some stuff that they're carrying before they can kind of see who they really are. But in the end, that's it, right? It's just a decision, you know. Yeah, I'm a creation of the creation, and I get to create and do what I want, and it's all good, you know. Because everything at the moment to do with tech, right, to do with L, it's all fear. Everyone's spent the last 2 years going, turn off your telly, and then everyone runs out and gets the clips from the telly and puts them on YouTube, and then people review those videos. So
I've never watched more mainstream in my life.
Isn't
like,
it bizarre?
Through social media, yeah.
Me too. It's just insane. Everyone's like, they think they're doing one thing, but they're doing the exact opposite. It's like, no.
You know what? Can I address that though too? Because like we're talking about the swings and that. This is what I've been talking about. You've got to be balanced in this time, and you can especially see a lot of people that are very new are still in the initiation process. And there was a guy, Michael Sims, he wouldn't mind me saying this because he posts about it on Instagram. He went to like Snoop Dogg concert the other night, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And he's like, he loves the old rap and like that's his thing, right? And he had a few beers and like they were slamming him. Oh, you're a fool, you know. I'm like, and he did a video and he goes like, I apologize. I went out, had a couple of beers, went and saw an artist. Do you know what I mean?
Got hammered for going to the concert and having some beers.
And it's like, I mean, like, because I could, you know, you could go into like, you know, 213 and NWA and the CIA corporatization of rap,
right.
But it's like you can fucking just go and enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
And like, because it's like when the Balenciaga thing comes, they're like, I'm throwing away all my Balenciaga. And then, there's other people getting ripped. Oh, he's wearing this t-shirt. I'm like, if you're going to go like that, we may as well throw away every bit of clothing. You'll be walking around naked.
Yeah.
So, like throw away all your iPhone, everything. It's like, you need to have some balance, because there's this, I've seen it's become like a problem of like, everything's the devil, everything's satanic.
Yeah. Everything's
and it's like, you are allowed to enjoy, because even like, so I hadn't had a drink for 4 months, and then I had a wedding on the weekend. I had too many, and I felt like shit. But for me, because I was talking to other people that like I know that have done AA and stuff, and they go do it, and they're like, you can never drink ever for the rest of your life. And I'm like, well, what's that saying? That means you actually haven't healed the issue. If you cannot have a drink for 40 years and you have one, you go back, then you haven't solved the problem.
Yeah.
No.
So like, I'll never say I'm never going to drink again. It's just like, I actually have to work on my relationship with with alcohol. You know what I mean? But I like to cut it off, and like, you're not dealing with it. And it's the same thing with mainstream media. It's like, you can watch it objectively, and you can still, you'll send people stuff and they go, oh, I'm not watching that. That's bias. So I'm like, well, you're missing out on everything. If you can't, I can learn stuff from Carl Stefanovic. I can learn stuff from anyone.
Yeah.
It doesn't, if you're coming at it, if you know who you are, it doesn't matter. You can take in any information you want.
I agree.
I totally
I've
agree.
been saying that for so long. If you're autodidactic, right? It doesn't matter. You can choose. That's all you need to work on is yourself. Yeah. If you don't trust yourself to, disseminate information and to go with what feels right, well, go back to the mirror and start talking to yourself, because you've got bigger
exactly
issues
what it
going
is.
on.
That's exactly what it is, because people keep sending me, oh, this person's a shield, this person. I've said, you're just projecting that you don't have the discernment, and other people don't have the discernment to understand themselves. It's like, I send posts like Tucker Carlson, and they're like, oh no, he's fuck. I'm like, I understand. I know what Fox is. I know.
I'm not saying I love him.
It's like, listen, take away, and it's even like anyone that watches this, it's like, take away from the personality of the person, and is the information true? Does it resonate? It's like, forget about the person.
I always go back to, one of the first things we sort of come across in this, whole, truth, whatever thing, is the 20/80 rule, right? There's always some truth, and there's always some lies. And so if you're blocking stuff, you're missing out on at least 20% that could be true. So it's weird. And I had a conversation the other day, and we were talking about, the words, right? You can't say understand anymore. Can't do that.
Yeah,
you've got to understand
everything. Yeah. Well, I was having this conversation with someone, and they're like, "Oh, do you know what that word meant?" I'm like, "Okay, if we're going to play that game, we're not going to speak anymore either, right?" Because you can go to the etymology of like, yes, I know about Shakespeare and the infiltration in English, but it doesn't matter.
It's intention, and this is the thing: is there's this weird thing with language that even though we know, it's being manipulated and all this kind of stuff's going on with it, words still seem to mean what they're supposed to mean. There's this kind of, there's something else going on, right? There's this spirit connection or whatever. And because I'm big into words, and we were sort of talking the other day, like words like whole, whole, WHOE is everything, HOL is nothing, right? It's like, well, that's the same word, but it's the opposite. And I used to think, oh, they're just trying to spellcasting, and then I was thinking about it, and I was thinking, well, hang on. If we're all toroids, if everything's a Taurus, then nothing is everything, right? It actually is the same. And we were talking about the word yield. Yield is to give up, but when you grow a crop, you get a yield.
It's
so it's the same. It's the opposite. You need to give up to get.
Yeah.
And so all this stuff, we think it's just, oh, they're playing tricks. But when you think about it, it actually all makes sense, which is really interesting.
Yeah. But that's why I said, like, because I said the universe, it's contrast expression. So there's a yes and no for everything. So
yes.
Is there spellcast? Yes. Can it have opposite effect? Yes. So that's the balance. It's like, you just see the negative in everything, and
And exactly right. Some people have got a solution, a problem for every solution, and everyone's running around. I'm so awake, I'm so awake, and I'm so positive, and all this. But but they're doing the opposite. It's a really weird thing, but it comes down to we it's this whole judge thing, right? And I kind of say judge people, but don't judge circumstance. Like just don't judge the world as good or bad, because then you're stuffed. If something's bad, it then is in charge, and every time you come back to that point, it's bad, right? You can't see the good in it.
But do you know what I think? If you know the base etymology of the word, right, and then if you know that it's spell casting, but you're using it the other way, you've actually transmuted it. That's what you've done.
Yes, it all comes down to
because you're aware of what's been done, but you're still using it, right? That's how you've just transmuted it through your understanding.
We all know there's black witches and white witches and black wizards and white wizards and all, we're told there's that duality, but you talk about spells and all this stuff and everyone thinks, oh no, it's just the dark, just the dark, just the dark.
Well, even black means white, so that's a perfect example.
Yeah, exactly right. I said incantations to someone once because I was sort of writing, little sort of poetry things, and I went, oh, and I've seen you've written some incantations, and they were like, what? No, and I'm like, it's just,
Oh, do you know? I'm so glad you said that, Campbell, because that's it's exactly how I think. It's rare that it's rare I speak to people that see it that way. So yeah, I appreciate that you see it that way.
I mean,
you go, Kelly.
I like if I fall into any sort of Puritan attitude, like in my own life, I just end up feeling grumpy. So like I just like that Puritan vibration to me is out of balance. It's just swung way too far on the other side, and I just think like, wow, like having a few wines around the campfire is one of my favorite things on the planet. Like it is one of my favorite things. I love it. Like the idea of giving it up to be like a cleaner, more sacred spiritual being, like it's just not as fun. So, and like the fun is actually for me, like brings the vibe up. It's the vibe. It's all about the vibe, like, and of course, like the next day, if you've had too many, you don't feel that amazing. And that's cool because then you see the balance of that as well. Yeah. I think
because you know what that imbalance is? It's a drive to what they perceive as spiritual perfectionism.
Yes.
Which is bullshit.
It's absolute shit.
Right?
It's
so
bullshit.
I know some of the most conscious people ever that smoke tobacco, drink wine, and are completely in touch with themselves. I'm not talking about they're not abusing it, but the search for spiritual perfectionism and constant healing. I need to heal. It's like
something outside of me. It's
going around the rabbit hole.
I need to sit in a white robe on a cushion, in the lotus position and just emanate white light and everything will be fine. That's not what you're here for. No. You're in a physical reality. You get to do that when you leave here. You can go and be a spirit as long as you want when you don't have a body. But
all it does, Cambell, is push you into self-criticism. Like all it does is push you into like a self-doubt, a self-lack, a need to do better, be more, learn something, clean something up, heal something, fix something, be more authentic, be more, it's always you're never there. You're never there.
Which goes back to you're born with sin. You're always trying to achieve something that you can't actually achieve, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And, we've got like, there's millions and millions of people going, at the tail end now of the last couple of years here in this conscious community. And, they're all struggling with it as well. Like, this is something that I think this is one of the greatest maturing of our consciousness, is to be able to accept ourselves in love all the time, and to and it's not about the external action you're taking. Like, that's been a flip for me. I've had to really because I am that person. I am that smoking, drinking. I like my weed. I like my campfires. I'm that. I like my alchemist friends visiting, turning up. I like the festival scene. I'm into that world, right? So I'm very freestyling around the drug, sex, and rock and roll realm. It's like I like it. And it's like I think a lot of people now are having to. Well, I think naturally we're all maturing our groundedness and like, hey man, like relax. It's okay. Like, it's better that you are happy and loving yourself right now than judging yourself and criticizing yourself and thinking you need to heal something more or do a better class or do a greater discipline, find a new modality, fix it. Just keeps you broken.
And ultimately, all that information is coming from outside of us.
Mm-hmm.
And when we think about it, it's just opinions of people who probably got opinions of people. It's got nothing factual. It's just all this information, and people go, yeah, that's the truth. And they all get onto these things. And, you know, I guess, you know, and just to trigger people, right? It's like Gandhi said, Gandhi, what did he say? You know, you're right, even if you're in the minority of one. You know, so all this is about is our perspective. If you're changing yourself to you know, meld with someone else's perspective of the outside world, well, you're not being yourself. So this is the whole thing. We can get information from the outside world, but then we got to, you know, disseminate it, run it through our own filters and see what it means to us, because ultimately we are all in our own little world. And this is why arguing and debates just drive me insane. It's just someone trying to say, unless you believe what I believe, you're wrong. And that comes from, I don't believe I'm right until everyone agrees with me. So it's this weird, you know.
Yeah. And you know what, like, oneness is, right? If everyone collectively, we all work together in peace, that's not everyone agreeing at all. That is everyone's unique individual expression of the creator.
Yes.
Not, it's the opposite to hive mind collectivism, you know? So it's for any one person to say this is how it's going to be done, or this is like, I'm not, even when I went to Uluru, right, that I realized when I got there that was an external chase. Like, I'd been wanting to go there, and I did have some profound stuff happen when I went there, but it was, and the message I got straight away, like, from the rock is like, why did you come here? Like I'm in you anyway. You could have been anywhere in the world. Like, you can connect to me from anywhere. It's like, everything that's, it told me, I was like kind of laughing, saying this is the bullshit spiritual chase of like external, when it's all like,
it's all in us.
You all got it anyway. But that's what you were kind of saying about the pendulum, Callie, is that because so many people have had such a rapid fire awakening, whatever you want to call it, into all this dark stuff, this is how I'm saying they're coming to a distortion of the light, right? And that's the chase. Because, oh my God, every institution's effed up. And it's like, we've had years to process that. It's like, yeah, like, we knew that 20 years ago. But because it's been so rapid fire for them, you've gone and they've swung to see it, and they're swinging back into a distortion on the other way. That's how I see it. And it's like, the balance is in the middle, that you can actually observe both.
Exactly. That's what's going to happen.
I can see with like all these spiritual modalities, I'm not interested in any of them. And occasionally, like, I actually did a sound bath thing the other day, but like, I never chased this. I was just happened to be around the area, and the ladies right, she goes, you want to come? I'm like, yeah. And it was awesome. And like, I think I was meant to be there for that, but it was never I wasn't chasing it.
Yeah.
And it ended up, it was exactly what I needed, but because there was no chase, it's like, it fell in my lap.
This whole thing of goal, you know, that everyone was imprinted with, you know, from the self-help kind of industry, goal setting, everything needs to be written down, and you've got to have your stuff and do this and goals. I think that's been, you know, it just draws you so much into the physical world, doesn't it? And possessions, right?
Well, it draws you into the chase.
Into the chase. Yeah. Where we should really be creating what we want, you know, in ourselves, and then waiting for it to show up, you know, without sort of expectations of, it's got to be on March the 7th, you know, and turn up in a pink dress, you know.
But you know what I think? They're like, when I said intent at the start, like, why we're here, we came here intent. But like, for me, the main intent is we came here for adventure. It's like, fuck, dude, that's what we're in the most amazing realm. You're a compressed fractal of the creator on the freaking Earth Mother. We're going through we're fucking rebirthing the whole universe.
Yeah.
And you're one of the special ones that came here at this time, and you came for the adventure.
Yeah.
And you're conscious. You can observe it because you actually got you're conscious of it. You know, you did your deprogramming, and you're conscious enough to observe that. Holy shit.
But that's what, you know, that's why I'm happiest when I'm like, I'm in my car driving. I don't know where I go. Like, when I went to Thailand, it's just like, I'm going for a new experience. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
To me, that's like, That's the most exciting thing. And that's why I love it so much, because I think that's the core reason we came here.
I agree. And they've sort of taught everyone in the last 2 years, oh no, you can't travel. And they're trying to do that more, but clearly you can.
Yeah,
You know,
you can.
it's just, you've just got to, it's what you believe is what's going to happen. If you believe, oh, it's so bad, they're going to stop me, and when I get there, they're going to do this and this.
You know, I had people message out to me that were furious. They're like,
yeah, you were traveling.
They're like, yeah, you're and then other people going, oh, you've deserted her. I'm like, I'm doing exactly what you should be doing. Just go fucking express yourself.
Oh my God.
You know, and I'm like, that's such a program response.
It is. I just cannot. I've seen that heaps too recently, and I can't believe it. It's almost like I've believed all the lies, and I'm sitting here pretending I'm awake. Why aren't you as well?
Well, I mean, you know, out of balance, that vibration would keep you motionless. It would keep you motionless. I've had this experience recently where I was sitting down to do these meditations, which did involve trying to, well, at least identify my vision for the future, right? And for the first time in a long, long time, I actually had to surrender and say, I actually don't have one. I actually don't have one. I am not trying to lead it anywhere. Actually, I don't have a strong version of my life in the next 10 years. Like, I just don't have one. But I could tell you very clearly what's going on in my head about building this garden bench that's on my mind right now, and like how I'm engineering it mentally in my head. I've got a very strong vision for that, which I'm doing tomorrow. But as far as my life goals go, destiny and vision, I feel like I'm in an absolute, like, a new space, which feels matured, which just feels empty. It's interesting. Yeah. Do you guys relate to that?
Yeah, that's that's living in the potential, right? Everything is potential. And it's kind of like I said with goals, you know, we've been designed, or, you know, programmed to say you need to, you know exactly what you want, or else you won't get it. You know, but I'm the same. I've kind of got, you know, because we sort of did the same course, and we're both, you know, supposed to write down all these vision statements and that. And I kind of had problems as well, because I've got all these possibilities, all these things going on, and I know what direction I'm going in, and it might be that, and I'm not sure exactly how it'll turn out, but I'm doing it anyway and going there, and that's kind of feels like the right spot. It just feels weird to sit down and start point forming things and doing all this.
Yeah, I can't do it.
You know, yeah.
You know, this, like, I've got to bring up David Icke again, just because I'm reading the books. It's exactly. I don't know if you've read his books, but he always starts off. He tells you.
They were
and,
the first books I read.
Oh, I mean, he's such a brilliant writer. He's one of the best authors, and to be able to put those concepts into such a layman way, it's a skill I think only few can do. I think he's the best. But you know, he always talks about all these life experiences, and they're all, you know, one door open, another one closed, one door open. And he says now, like, he doesn't make any plans past like 3 months, because he lives his whole life on intuition.
Yeah.
And if the heart tells him, he goes. And that's, what does he call it? Like the you know, surfing the you know, the wave of life, right? It's like that you let the wave take you.
Yeah.
And then the thought comes, oh, you can't do that. You haven't got the money. You've got and then you don't do it. But it's like, if you go, because that intuition again is like connecting to Creator, then you just, and you're like, holy shit, like, I actually went with it, and look what happened. Like, I would never have done this. And
well, isn't that interesting? Because from that perspective, goals would restrict us.
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't be possible.
Yeah.
Because if you're on a wave, you couldn't just suddenly go, I'm going to turn left now. You can't. You're just like, you're going with the wave. Like, it's.
But but if you hit the goal as the ultimate, and then you get there and you're like, oh shit, like, what do I do now, right?
That's a common thing. They tell you that'll happen, and you have to have new goals before you reach your goals, or else you're going to fall in the pit. They know.
Well, you've seen with like Tyson Fury, his goal was to be heavyweight champ. He got there, and then he went plummeted into depression 10 minutes after the fight, because he didn't know what to do with himself, because his whole life was to get there, and he's like, oh, I've done it.
That's all he is. Yeah. It's like, it's very interesting, because they got us all, you know, get a job, buy a house and all that, and as soon as you do that, then when you get inspiration to take off, you can't, because you've got to pay the bills, right? You've got to go to job, you've got all this responsibility, because you're following goals and doing the right thing and becoming successful, when it's just such a line of crap, isn't it? It's complete. It's like everything.
I
It's,
mean, I still think you should like setting goals is a good thing, but it's like you're not fully dependent on that goal. And, once that's like, you just let it take you wherever. You don't
yeah,
have like, this is,
more like visions and dreams.
I have to achieve this, right?
Yeah.
It's an interesting one though, like from both perspectives, because obviously everyone I know who actually has really worked on and defined their 10-year plan, or like are hugely successful individuals. Like it works. What we're talking about. I mean, what I'm saying is that pathway doesn't not work. I've only got evidence of it working. But for someone like me, like it doesn't feel like a fit. Like it's not the pathway. I don't seem to be able to work that way with it. Like there's a different consciousness flowing through me in order to move me to the next step,
It could just
That's
be,
what we said before about balance though too, because there's either option and everything in between.
left brain, right brain. Some people do better like that, but that's the thing. You don't have to do it that way. There are options,
It seems to work well in the realm of commerce. In the realm of commerce, that sort of 10-year plan seems to be very well suited. In the realm of consciousness, it seems a little bit too far ahead for me.
How can anyone have a 10-year plan at the moment?
I know. Far out.
You're lucky to have a 2-week plan, man. God.
Yeah, which leads us to 2023. What are our thoughts, Dal? What are your thoughts on this year ahead of us?
Yeah.
Already almost in April. Oh my God.
And we just went through a big full moon.
Yeah. Wasn't it? Yeah. It was well, they say that 23 is the number of humanity, right? Which is the number of the Earth. So that's interesting.
That's interesting.
And we're in March now, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
3rd month.
So it's
I don't know. Was the full moon on the 2nd?
No, I was on the 7th.
7th. Okay.
So yeah, I think it's a tipping year. I think like you can see the energy now of what's coming out. It can't be stopped, right?
No.
It can't be stopped. And especially, I mean, like the push on the trans stuff and all that. People are so concerned about it. I'm like, mate, this is like exposing itself at a rapid rate. I have no concern for it. And that doesn't mean I'm not concerned for, like kids indoctrinated and stuff, but I'm saying for the long-term plan, this is not happening.
It's so rapid.
To me, it's all it is. Again, it's like, and I think it's been manipulated, but it's getting people to question their morality. That's only one aspect of it. The translate. There's so many. Everything that's coming in, it's like, oh, do I believe that? Why do I believe that? Fuck, my beliefs have been completely immoral. Like, what if I put a blank piece of paper down? Like, is this right? What the hell's going on? And it's and everyone keeps saying like the whole clown world thing. It's like, yeah, it is like, it's just but that's a time acceleration too, because that dark agenda is playing out way too quick. There hasn't been enough time for that to permeate within culture for it to be accepted. It's been pushed too quick.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's like they jumped the gun and they had to go far, at a sooner time or something. But and all it's ended up doing is exposing them all. I mean, seriously, look how many people have now been done for, kitty fiddling and all this kind of stuff. And these are all trusted people, like news anchors and stuff. People were sitting there watching and going, "Oh, that's the truth." We now find out who they really are, right? And that's what. Do you see a swing back? Like, because obviously it's gone so far. We're talking about the pendulum. It's all so satanic and trans and all that. Do you see it like a Puritan, like a real, and of course that doesn't make it good, but because it's conservative, going to be extreme, isn't it? It's going to be suddenly, if women show their ankles and stuff, don't do that.
I think there'll be a really conservative Christian consciousness that attempts to come through really strongly. I think it's going to be conservative. I think it's really interesting though, just that concept there, just to go back 1 second, around the agendas when we were talking about it being so rapid, the agendas had to it's rapidly moving forward and rapidly showing itself, and that has having a direct impact on our perception of time. like that we are actually feeling like we never have enough time, we're running out of time, and time just feels like we're getting less and less and less of it every day. So like, just to talk about that for a second, the rapid projection of this agenda or this vibration, let's just talk about it vibrationally, the rapid projection of this low vibrationally is actually messing with our actual perception of time, of having time, of being in time, of having time, because we, you know, most people haven't had time to even like transition it or translate it into their consciousness, you know, enough to ground it. So it's just like it's happening really quickly, and that's making us feel like everything's happening really quickly, and we're not having enough time. Would you guys, let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about this before you came on, Kelly, before we hit record.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, we're just saying, like, you know, like you set yourself a little task, like to go to the shop or whatever. And it used to be like, you know, like half hour. You used to like segment your life in these little half hours. Like now it's like, that's an hour task. And that never used to be an hour task. And you're doing the exact same thing. I think, you know, like, because I haven't worked for a year, and the days I'm like, how the hell did I have a job and do anything else? It's like, and like, this sounds like such a, like, it's such an arrogant thing, because I know most people work, and it's, you know, like I'm coming from like being a hobo bum and not having a job, but like I'm like, how did I do anything? And like, I have no kids, I have nothing, right? And I'm like, and then I talk to my brother, he's like, you know, I've got 4 kids, like, what do you think I do? He goes, I literally have like no time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, do you know, like when I first I had like my explosion, like awakening in like early 2000s, and I bought this book, which like most of it's bullshit after I've processed it all, but it was cool at the time. And
what was it?
Saint Germain's Prophecies. It was like 2000, I think it was that. But it was, I remember the whole first chapter was all about time acceleration, and I really resonated to that at the time, and that was 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and it was saying how, because, you know, like a minute's still a minute, a second's still a second, but it's the perception.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it was saying how this would constantly increase up until the financial collapse and all these other things. And it's pretty much playing out. I've got to go find that book again. But
quickening, man.
It's not, and like I said to you, Cam, before this, when we started, that you're like, oh, geez, this year's going quick. And everyone says that every year.
Yeah.
Because every year goes quicker than the previous year.
Yeah, and they used to sort of say, oh, that's just because you're getting older, you know, you've got more past, more memories.
That's bullshit.
Bullshit.
Even like you think of the war agendas, like they did the whole Iraq thing, and that played out for 10 years, and then they try to take Syria, and that was like 3 or 4 years, and then it's like we're just gonna smash out World War III in like a year now, like
yeah, a couple of months,
and it'll be exposed in just as quick a time as well. So, but because all of that outside time perception, that's all happening with us too, because we're saying it's like it's symbiotic, because it's like because the awakening really, and if the Earth is changing and we're changing, it's time too, right? Because it's just movement and light. So we're, you know, like I think we're changing on an atomic level, because because you know, the galaxy isn't out there, it's in here, and so everything's moving quicker.
Let me tell you a story. So in 2000, and it was about 2014, I started to get I was on my old farm, and I started to get these really weird sensations in my body where like it felt like I was shaking, right? Like it felt like everything in my cells was shaking, but if I held my hand up, it was perfectly still. And I'd like get this for like 10 minutes every now and again. And then it started to become like a daily thing, to the point where it was causing my heart to palpitate and do fluttering, and like starting to fucking freak me out, right? So it's to the point where I was like, I have to go and lie down on the couch for like 20 minutes just to calm it all down, which was really unlike me to stop in the middle of the day like that. And I was really like, what the fuck is going on with me? And it was months, right? And so eventually I went and I did a sound bowl healing, and it was just one-on-one. And just before I went into the meditation and then fell asleep, I said, I want to know what this is. Tell me what this is. Like I was really demanding about it. And then like I fell asleep, and I got woken up by this voice in my ear, in my head, yelling at me, just yelling at the full, to the point where I was so shocked. I actually like jumped off the ground and then came slamming down on my ass and freaked myself out because I was asleep. And it said, "It's the quickening." That's what it said. Like it yelled it in my ear, like really hardcore. I freaked out the teacher. And I'd never heard that term before. The only time I'd heard that term was on fucking Highlander.
Highlander. There can be
Yes,
only
that's
one.
the only time I'd heard the quickening. So it's really interesting now to actually, and actually the woman who's doing the bowl, she'd flipped out because at the same time I went through that, she had started seeing my bands reverse. She literally saw my bands reverse, and then like these like strikes of light coming into my bands, and then a voice in her head really clearly, this is what freaked her out, said, "Don't worry, this is not for you, this is specific to Kelly. Like, don't worry about this." And then I got screamed at. It was the quickening. So I'm just bringing that up because that was in around 2014.
You know, what's his Joseph Campbell, Hero of a Thousand Faces. Hero. So what's the quickening? That's the point in the Rocky movie where they do the montage. You have to watch it. You have to do an hour and a half of the movie, and then they compress him going from down in the dumps to I'm going to be champion in the space of however long Eye of the Tiger goes for, like a minute. That's the quickening, and that because that's I remember reading Wilcox's book, and he went the whole way through. It was one of the best books I ever read.
I loved Wilcox,
and I'm like, we're in that in the montage.
Yeah.
So it's like boom, 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 and we're going, and eventually
we're in the fucking montage.
When you come out of the quickening, you face the nemesis, which we're all going to have to do collectively, and then we're ultimately it looks like we're just about to win. So like everything's going to come out, and then bang, there's one last hurdle, and it looks like we're all destroyed. And like I think that's. I mean, I've got ideas on what that could be, but like. Because we're already starting to see the small wins now. So I think we're in the quickening. When it comes out, we face the nemesis, and then it's going to look like we are lost at the last moment.
Wow.
Yeah. Once I read that book, it ruined every movie. I was going
to say that's.
I'm like, this is going to happen. This is going to happen.
I know.
Think about Star Wars. It's all up to that last little bit where he's flying down and shoots his little bit down and blows up the the whatever it is. But
Lord of the Rings classic.
But we're so attuned to that story because it's not just a movie story; it's a universal blueprint that like people keep going. Oh, it's like we're in a movie. I'm like, we are in the movie. Like,
we are in the. What do you think a reset is?
And that's why nothing is like everything kind of feels familiar. It's like I've seen this shit before.
Yeah.
That's
so
interesting.
All right, amazing. We are in the montage. We're in the montage, everyone. Just so everyone got that, we're in the montage. Period.
Don't know what a montage is? Go and watch an 80s martial arts flick.
They're all in the martial arts ones.
So then when we come out of the montage, we go into the first round with the necromancer, right? Like we go into that dark night of the reconciliation, the big scary necromancer, and then we think we're out. We think we're at the other end. Do you think we're at that point yet? Do people think we're at the other end?
Do you know my best analogy of that in the hero's journey is Happy Gilmore.
Mm-hmm.
I remember he gets hit with a car or whatever. I know, like he's actually winning, and then he gets hit with a car, and then he's just about to win. He's got one putt to win, and then the thing falls in front of the hole. And like, so that's that moment. Then it's like we've lost. But somehow he makes it, right?
All right, come on then. Let's
it's
chuck
like
your theories
Caddyshack too, right?
Chuck your theories into the ring.
I think it's the final showdown in the Middle East. I think that's I think there's going to be this, whether it's real or not, there's going to be a perceived global destruction. And then eventually, like, truth will come out. Everything's okay. And I even think that this is so well embedded into the DNA of like the destruction of Moldak and stuff in the solar system that we're wired to this something in the skies happening, and because we're tied to that trauma. So I feel like everything will come out. It'll look like we've won, but then there's a comet coming, and these people, they haven't told you about this comet forever, but it's coming.
Yeah.
Just
Yep.
suddenly pops up and
Yeah, like
do
it'll
this in
just
2
be
days.
like, oh my god, we're all free, and it's like, oh yeah, but there's a comet, and
Yeah, because we're
take us
wired
away.
to.
Yeah.
You're right. We're absolutely wired to the destruction, like the destruction of Atlantis, the destruction of Lumeria, the destruction of the old Earth, Marduk, and Tiamat, and all that. We are wired to these massive, like,
I think it's going to
end
come
of
from the
time.
sky. Something,
Yeah.
the final trauma is from the sky. Yeah, I think you're right.
Interesting, because all of the last 2 years it's been watch the water, watch the water. Of course, then the inversion would be it's coming from the skies.
Well, but they say that like Moldek or Tiamat, right, was like that was a water planet anyway.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of talk
And,
about the plasma as well, plasma, coming, plasma discharges and stuff, and which is kind of that's like the fifth element, which, if you get into the, the ways the world's destroyed, it's, what is it? It's earth, water, fire, ether or something, or water, ether.
I mean,
Who knows?
at the end of the day, like when you watch all these channels or this information coming off online, you think, like, everyone's like, what's going to happen? When's it going to happen? And, like, the best answer is always like, you'll fucking know. Like, you'll be so in it. You will fucking know. You won't need anyone to tell you it's happening. This is it. You won't need that. You will know. You'll be in it and, like, dealing with, the
this
necromancer.
is it, man. Like, disclosure, man. Bloody disclosure. And people are still following disclosure. And if you're still following it, show me one thing that's actually happened that they've said is going to happen. None of it happens, And
Come
then
on.
it passes.
Now, come on.
Like,
There must be one thing. One thing. Let me think about it for a second. One thing.
One thing. Come on.
One thing.
Biden,
but Biden became president. That was in there. That was in disclosure.
I thought Trump was supposed to become president. But anyway, what it is, it's the same thing as it's trust us, right? Trust something outside of you. We'll tell you what's happening. You need us to confirm things, and just wait. Don't do anything. Sit down and wait for the white hats or the Jesus or the UFOs or whoever it is to come and save you. But it's like you said, when shit hits the fan, we're gonna know. You will know. So you don't need to sit down and watch all this disclosure stuff. You don't need to be in fear of when it's going to happen. Just live your life, create. When it happens, try and be prepared, I guess.
What I say too is about you got to trust the energy of like real love compared to the fake too, because if there was that scenario, right, and they played out a savior, right, because you're going from dark to like the polar opposite distortion of the light is worship. Right. Yeah. That's how you know. If any being comes in demanding worship, adoration, praise, that's it. You avoid that. I think that's highly likely. But at the end of the day, I'm not attached to that outcome. I trust myself that if I don't give my power away to anyone, it doesn't matter good, bad, or anything in between, then
I think they're working on a few people at the moment that they they've got their options open for who they want to put up as the antichrist. I think they're working. They just sort of saying
Trump's in the ultimate position to be the antichrist, right? If they play out this whole scenario, and then it comes at that they took down the deep state, blah blah blah, and then
exactly.
It all ends in the middle.
He's the savior of the world.
He's already been played as a messianic character. He's got the gold hair and the gold face, and they put the thing on the back of his head like Jesus. It's like that's people, and Christians like, I wouldn't fall for that. I'm like, you will fucking fall for it.
I'm thinking, I'm edging towards Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, well,
Jordan Peterson, where I'm edging. This like the savior of like the Christian savior of like the intellectual AI safe sound, but the fatherly figure.
Has anyone seen his last couple of interviews? And
I watched one about AI.
What he wears? I didn't listen to him.
Oh yeah,
have you seen what he's wearing?
Yes. It's so weird.
He thinks he's a Smurf Santa Claus. I saw this one. He literally had this blue Smurf suit on with Santa Claus like white, like they have on the Santa Claus suit.
He wears it two half.
And then the other one,
his suits in half.
Fit down the middle, half blue, half brown.
He'll do half tweed, half checker. He goes half. It's very Joker-esque.
It's very very strange. Man.
I've been listening to a lot lately. I've I haven't listened to much like conspiracy stuff, and I'm just going back with like
Just
all
for
my
fun.
Mike
Yeah.
Tyson interviews. I just
Oh, Mike Tyson, I like him, man. He's cool.
and I'm like, I go, he's like, if I had to like someone that I actually like kind of idolize for what he's been through, not idolize, but you know, like
I agree. He's
I
awesome.
appreciate his voice more than probably
His voice.
anyone in the truth movement. Because I'm like, this guy's, and whether it's true or not, but the perception of his story is this man is brutally honest. He's brutally introspective. He owns up to all his faults.
Yep.
And he's learned from mistakes and made change. Like that is spirituality in practice. Mike fucking Tyson.
I agree. And look what he went through. He was he was king of the world basically at 19, man. Like imagine what was thrown at him. Like the money, the girls, the drugs, everything. And of course he bought it and he fucked up majorly. But like you said, he's owned it. He's made, atonement if you want. He's sorted his life out.
I thought you were about to say he bought it and he fucked it.
He went through all that, and he's not a saintly figure. He's like, and that's what to me he's like a real person.
That's real. I agree. That's real spirituality. It's not this. Yeah. You don't have to look a certain way. You don't have to talk a certain way.
Yeah.
All this kind of this external stuff, right? Everyone puts this physical stuff on what you need to have to be spiritual, but yeah, I agree. Mike Tyson.
One of the most beautiful, I watched it again. I've watched it 3 times now in the last 2 years, is like he does an interview. He's got his own podcast and he brings in Robert Kennedy Jr. And it's an amazing, because they both talk about their lives. He's come from this aristocratic type family and he's so educated, and they sync so well. And you could see just the way they were interacting. Robert Kennedy greatly admires Mike Tyson, right?
Mm.
And I mean, yeah, like the stuff they go into there.
Yeah, right.
It's like, but I'm like, that's the awakening, right? This brute fucking dude from Brownsville, New York, that was a bad motherfucker, and this other guy, and like whether they are or aren't what they perceive, it's like that. It was a perfect example. I loved it.
Fucking Rocky, man. It's live tiger right there. Well, it's interesting. So your bets were on it happening from the sky. What's your bet, Campbell?
Yeah, I think if anything's going to happen, like an event, I think I'm on the sky as well. Plasma from the sky.
What about you, Kelly?
Yeah, for sure. It's the sky, because the sky, like, hello, that's the thing that we don't understand. That's the bit. That's the thing, the cover, that like defines, everyone's argument about what this earth is in the first place. That to me is the greater simulation, is the sky. And I think all the movies would reflect that. It's always the sky is the greatest deception and illusion and delusion, and also probably the most manipulative and able to be manipulated thing. I mean, to me, that sky, I look at it, to me, the sky is the least organic part of nature. I don't relate to the sky as I do the ground or the water or the forest or the trees or the animals. The sky to me is the most inorganic, and I can't explain that. It feels like it's wrong somehow.
A lot of New Age dogma is very much focuses on, it's always about beings and taken off world and all. And I spoke to so many New Age people, and they're like, "Oh, if they come, I'm going." I'm like, you're on the earth, mother. It's like, why are you? Again, like you came here intent. Why do you want to leave?
Yeah,
it's more externalization,
and it's also this. The earth is bad, right? This is bad. It's a prison planet. All this kind of stuff where. Yeah, and someone needs to come and save me. It's it's not being mature, like Kelly said. All this stuff. It's really about growing up a bit, right? Really, not looking for mummy and daddy to come and answer every question and help us and get us out of situations. If we take control, then we're not waiting for anyone to come and save us, right? And if they do, we're going to ask them who they are. We're taking you somewhere better. Yeah, prove it. Prove it before I get on your bloody ship. Do I have to
Yeah.
have something in my
I've
arm?
always said, I go, if they ever come and we have a chance to go off, as like, I know absolutely
I'd just be like to all the NPCs, yes, jump on board,
Yeah.
go away.
Yeah,
Leave
yeah,
us
no.
to inherit the earth.
I actually think there is a deeper agenda that could play out in the time ahead, because and if any beings do want to take you off world, what does that say, right? If the Earth's going through an awakening or rebirthing, why would they want to take you off?
Yeah.
Right? Who
Steal
are
your
they?
front
Exactly,
row
right,
seat,
yeah.
man. That's what they're doing. Stealing your show, stealing your seat.
Yeah, yeah. You don't get
You know,
to go
with
front
every single agenda, you can tie every one of it back to diminish the Earth. Every
Ah,
single agenda.
massive. It's just 100% an offense against the earth. The whole thing. The whole thing.
Like
row.
Campbell said, the prison planet. What does that say about even your mentality, that that is what it is, and that's all it is?
Imagine living like that. And that's the whole, I'm born with sin. I've done all this bad stuff, but I don't know what it was. I must have been bad in a past life,
Yep.
or it's got nothing to do with your reality. It's just this fear, right? The greatest tool they have, the fear to hold you in a place where you're not going to step into your power and actually do something.
Well, I can say that there's been 2 times in my life that I've lost my faith, and both times it's been about me. It's been about the earth. It's not been about like a god or a religion or a destiny. It's always about feeling like the earth's let me down in some capacity. It's my relationship with the earth always goes back to that, and very little for me has to do with the sky on that level. And I'm triple earth. My star signs are triple earth. I'm like, I'm earthed all the way, man. So yeah, for me, if I lose faith, it's when my relationship with the earth itself, it's been severed in some like intellectual rabbit hole I've gone down,
Yeah. But that's why it's always good to have your one thing that you can come back to. Like, because I talk about the high perspective stuff, but then like you talk about service level shit, and you're like, oh, okay, Dale, just like remember, oh, okay, that's do you know what I mean? Simple stuff.
Yeah, simple stuff.
I think this is, everything's way too overcomplicated. I agree. I think we just need to strip back. It's one of my favorite sayings is the statue's not done when there's nothing more to add. It's done when there's nothing more to take away. And that's what this is about, right? It's more about losing the programming is how you become more of yourself, not necessarily taking on more, right? But so how do you see this playing out, like Mr. Holmes?
Well, look, I'm just going to say,
Mr.
honestly,
Holmes?
thank God for marijuana. Honestly, I'm just going to put it because honestly, if I had that, to me, it's a very grounding motherfucking herb.
I'm the same. I kind of think of it like, we came down here and with a bit more knowing, it seems, than the most of the populace. And so we have to go through a lot more crap, right? And it's kind of like, well, here you go, have this little plant to help you through. But that's another thing, right? Like you're talking about the alcohol. It's like, you can't have marijuana. You can't eat this. You can't eat that. Rah, 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 rah. And there's all these, rules around around what you need to do to be spiritual. And they're all physical. It's so weird. But yeah, so what do you see in the next couple of months or in the next couple of years even? Because Kelly sort of put out her projection that she thinks is going to go down in the next few years. How do you see it all playing out?
Well, I think, I mean, if that, the supposed, centralization agenda and AI, we're going to see every aspect of it in, to a diminished degree of what it was meant to play out. So I don't know. I look at as far as like big revelations coming out and the tilt of it turning back around. I think that's end of 2024, 2025 for me. It's like they're playing out that cycle. I wouldn't be surprised if it's Hillary v. Trump 2024 again. I said that 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
I think even if they're playing the hero's journey thing, that it's like that, you have, the hero is Trump and the villain is Clinton in that story. That I could definitely see that playing out. But I mean the scramble with the the jab stuff and all that is just phenomenal at the moment. I'm watching a lot of those Senate hearings with Rennick and Antic and Roberts, and then people go, oh, they're involved. I'm like, just watch it. It's like, it's really good to observe. And the lies are just, they're just exposing themselves, and they're so tight with their words. And I heard Malcolm Roberts say in one of his interviews, they actually set up these Senate hearings because you're like, why is he asking that? They're getting nowhere. This is bullshit. He said, no, sometimes they play a game over 9 months, a year. They know certain stuff's coming out. They get them. You've got them on record saying something. Then you go back to that. And so they've already projected their Senate hearing questions for another year, right?
Yep.
It's a movie.
They're like, and I appreciate, even I have no time for politics. I'm not interested. I don't vote. I don't support anyone voting, but I watch it, and I do, and even if people like Roberts and that is like an insider and blah blah, like it doesn't, to me, I still have respect for the role that he's playing in it, as I do many others. But I think the main thing is that if people want to speed up the process, is people want external truth on a worldwide scale. You've got to be truthful with yourself. So, like, do you really want truth? How many lies are you telling on a daily basis? That's the only way truth permeates, is that you want truth, but you don't want to be truthful. Well, and the people, we're going to an age of telekinesis and what do you call it? Telepathy. I'm like, well, okay, if you got telepathy, that means you're going to be truthful 100% of the time, but everyone's going to your shit, right? So
you're ready for that.
You don't want telepathy. So in other words, we have to get that, and the only way we get to a point of telepathy is we live in a world of truth, which means you have to be truthful, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I just seen like morality starting to come back, and people going, like I do have, everyone has bad thoughts, or I was going to do something bad, and you're like, just that little voice in your head, like, no, I shouldn't be doing something for you because I want to be nice to you. It's like, is it the right thing to do?
Yeah.
That's basically it. And then, so on the outward world, we're going to see the crashing of the old system. It's going to look chaotic, but actually it's a beautiful new truth that's coming in as well. And I do see a lot of people swinging to a distortion.
Me too.
That have been so pulled in the dark, they're going to the distort. I think the ultimate is to play out a second coming Messiah kind of thing.
Yes, I agree.
That to me is the whole point. This is what I'm saying.
It's just
they're showing the darkness so much. They're making it so obvious. And I'm like, well, do you think the dark's really in control? If they're showing it so blatantly, it's because they're trying to distort you over here to bring you over to this side.
Yeah.
And at the top of it, you've got this L figure, right? That created both Lucifer and God on the same side, right? And it doesn't care. It'll feed off your loosh, and it'll feed off your worship. So it's in the middle. You've got
the middle ground.
That's where we've got to be. And just like, like
totally
you were saying, like we were saying before, about you can't drink. No, you're portraying what you think I should do. It's like, I'm in the middle, and I'll probably sway, but like, I know that the goal.
Well, that's the thing. If you look at it that way, one side is being a drunk, and the other side is being one of these AA people who runs around yelling at people who have a beer. So obviously the middle ground is
Mary. Middle ground's Mary.
With people that say like orthodox, like dogmatic Christian families, and they're like suppression of sex and all this sort of stuff, and then they pull away and they become completely promiscuous. This is what that energy, like how they've feminized men so much that what do we get on the other side? All of a sudden Andrew Tate pops up, because it's a complete opposite distortion of expression. It's not the true in the middle balance. So it's like that.
Totally
people have just got to be able to see where they're being herded.
Yes.
Totally agree, man. I think we're going to go to a big kick to the conservative Christian. And I think you've got these people like Jordan Peterson who are being pitched to sort of be the intellectual, reasonable voice for those, like that whole the Daily
Christian
Wire
revival movement is massive.
It's massive, and that got all
that is
tied
going to
in.
lead to the distortion.
Yeah.
That's where
I totally agree, and it all got tied in with the whole Trump supporters and the Patriot movement. It was really, really big in there, and this whole like massive, sordid darkness that's been exposed. It's going to swing people back to defining what their morality is. They're going to find that morality in the Christian Bible, in the faith, and then they're going to, and completely the faith they find in Jesus or God through Christianity will make them feel safe and sound and secure again. And that's going to ground them down again. And it's going to
this is, to me, this is the whole Q operation. People think it's a darker. I'm like, no, Q operation is the distortion version of the light that's being controlled by this central figure. What does it say? God wins, right?
Well, Q is if you look into it in historical records, it's been used since like the 1600s. It stands for quintessence. The quintessence.
Yeah.
So
and again, like at a balance point of view, I respect what they're doing, right? This does need to be exposed, but they have an agenda, right? They want you over here. It is.
That's the other thing. The answer isn't to swing and become a Puritan. That's another deception. It's to see, okay, they're the polarities. I need to make my own decision and go down the middle road.
But this is how I see it too. There's going to be an option. This group ain't going to force you, right? And I think the other option is the natural world. It always goes back to the earth.
Yeah, because for this group, they will maintain the position that they can't force you to find your faith. That woe is you for not finding your faith and getting it. Like, we feel sorry for you. Like, let us feed you, but we won't force it upon you. They know they're intelligent. It's an intelligent, very intelligent movement, and it's also full of really fucking amazing, beautiful, kind, compassionate, smart. My bestest friend in the world has just found her Christian faith, and I fucking love her. And she's happier than she's ever been in her entire, like, it feels to me, she's happier than she's ever been ever. But I can't swing towards it because to me, I just feel like we're in a game of frequency. And having faith in anything, it swings you out of that frequency, apart from like my connection to this earth. And I think when to go right back to the beginning of this conversation about looking at this idea of new earth, like that to me is what it is. It's like suddenly our definition of our own morality, our own disciplines, our own practices, like, are now, for me personally, I'm just observing in my life, are now rotating in this torus field under my feet and behind me and around me, to do with nature. And it's like my most balanced place, it's my balance here on this realm, is to wake up in the middle of it every day, to be in it, to be sweaty and dirty in it, like every day. That to me brings, it's my happy place. I can't imagine finding that sitting in a church, or reading the Bible, for example.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Everyone's at a different point anyway, so nothing's right or wrong. This isn't about judgment. If finding Jesus and being in that situation makes you feel better and helps you, then do it. But I think it doesn't mean it's an end point, right? It's all a journey, right? We need to understand certain things before we can, because it's like a ladder. You can't jump the rungs. You've got to take each rung and sort of go up. So yeah, it's just depending on wherever you are and how you see it. I think you've just got to, but I think the main thing is you've got to have some kind of faith, right? You've got to have something you believe in, because they're trying to get us to believe in nothing, right? Even the guy, who was that guy? He's Mr. Schwab's right hand man, who's telling us that they're going to rule it. Yeah, he's going around doing all these podcasts, basically laughing at God, going, "Oh, God's just so stupid. He's dead. Doesn't everyone know he's dead? Oh my God." It's just.
But even like this one where they put the drag queen on the
story time stuff. Yeah.
No, on the.
The
the project.
I don't see.
He's basically gone out and like made this like real disgusting sexual joke about Jesus, right? And then
I did hear this, yeah.
But like that's what I mean. It's
he got promoted on the project for it, did he?
No, they actually had to do an apology. I think that show's probably done this year.
Good.
I mean, like Jordan Peterson, when you watch his clips, like he's very intelligent and philosophical, but he's very judgmental. Like there is that judgmental process going on, swinging against that conservative nature. Like he essentially thinks, if you're on this realm, if you haven't had children or got married and had children, like you've like totally not grown up as a human being and wasted this. You don't
Yeah,
get
I
it.
was
You
I
have
was
to-
listening to that one and I'm like,
Yeah.
fucking, I'm a failure.
Dale,
Ah, you,
do it yourself, mate.
Dale, fucking F man, F.
Get out there and start sowing your wild oats, mate.
But at the same time, he'll then run you through a conversation about, say, the transgender movement, and you'll agree with it. So, like, it pitches two moralities together, and it does sort of like come up with this like pathway.
But this
There's
is the
this-
thing.
Yeah,
It forces us to make a decision, right? So what the hell's he saying? We've actually got to think about it. Where, you know, it used to be just like the new this, and people go, oh, there you go. Now I'm informed. But now it's not that simple. So I think it's all, you know, it's all for us, right? It's all to make us think. It's all to decide, who is this really? What's he really saying? Do you really want to follow him? And of course, a lot of people only hear what they want to hear, and they're like, he's the savior. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you know, it's what level are you at? I guess, you know, what can you say? But
You know, I got to thank you guys. This is the most common sense conversation I've had in the, in the last year. No, it's
You're welcome back anytime, Mr. Holmes.
well, I mean, you know what? It's really interesting because if we kind of agree to the potential of it being something from the sky, and also this swing to this you know, Christian conservative realm, and actually, to be fair, the AI does reflect a Christian conservative voice when you type into this chat GTP. It's very conservative.
Really?
It's interesting then, because then we could go right back to Project Bluebeam, which was like my first David Icke book ever was all about Project Bluebeam, and that was all about the fake Messiah being projected into the sky. Like, you know, if we look at that sort of, you know, approach through where the narrative's taking us right now, which is conservative Christianity coming up as the moral right path. They're like taking say the whole presidential process, the political process down, and it's instead putting into place a wise older being who's got good strong morals, you know, like smart with morals.
Not dementia.
And then there's like an event that you just can't imagine we'll ever get through, which will have to be some sort of weather event. And then there's the Messiah proving the entire.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I see this as like the swing one side to the other. That's the Ouroboros. I think that's how you stay in the simulation. So you have all these years of darkness, and then the energy starts to shift over, and then that same entity, this owl or whatever, the demiurge, is like, all right, they're waking up. So it offers you this other distortion of the light option, and then you stay in, and then you go. And I think they're like, we come to the end of this cycle, and it's like, if you can stay in balance with the earth, that's how you permeate out. But or you just go back, and then because you can, they're probably going to have, you know, there'll be like another 20,000 years of light on this, and then they forget what dark is, and then it creeps in, and then it goes back the other way, and it just gets.
Well, I mean, that's what we're told, right? You've got to make the two become one. You've got to, you know, join the whatever, the dark and the light, the masculine, the feminine, which is clearly, it's saying the middle path. You know, it's like as we believe their, you know, their lines, we're just going from polarity to polarity.
But that's why I saw him. That's how I saw the cue board, right? It's like from dark. It says Q says from dark to light, God wins, right? And if you look at God as a demiurge, not the creator, dark to light, the demiurge doesn't care. Dark light doesn't know. God wins. God wins.
And it even shows you in the pyramid, doesn't it? Like the top's actually the middle. You know, it's like, yeah, right. Wow.
Yes.
But that's you know what I noticed when Novak won, they kept saying the return of the king to Melbourne, the return of the king, which is like, you know, the hero's journey again. And they put him in the Australian Open pyramid, which is like an A, and they put him in the middle. And like pyramid literally means fire in the middle.
Fire in the middle.
So they've got Novak, who's the king, and king is the Jesus, the ascending of the 33 to the top, right?
Yep.
And this is what I like. I think you don't come out of this realm you don't go out through the pineal. And that's why, like, the New Age is the same as Freemasonry, even into Christianity, that it's all with the fire in the middle, the 33, and that even the pyramid it's built into the construct of the earth itself in its dimensions. Because I think like Jason Bashir was sort of saying this too, that it's a construct because it's like the AI mapping the whole realm to put it into one device. But that is only connecting to mind consciousness through the pineal, and that the only way home is actually through the heart and the earth itself.
Which again is the center point, right? The middle path.
Which
Yeah.
I would say I would refer to that as the organic template.
Yeah.
The organic template. Yeah.
Well, the heart's color's green as well, right? Which is nature.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they
of
try
course,
and make us think it's pink, right? I mean, how's this? You know, I've had so many questions. Like, it's like, with the heart, what do I imagine? Pink or green? What is it? What color crystal? I'm like, well, I think it's green, but it probably doesn't matter with your intention. But they just try and flip all this stuff, right?
Well,
That's
it's like the Emerald City in that Wizard of Oz is green in
Green.
Oz.
yeah.
Indeed.
Well, I mean, you know, when you start to replace the Tartarian tech with the organic tech of nature, as in the trees themselves, or I was just saying the other day, Dow, you know, how great it would be to sit there and literally meditate into the eyes of an animal, with an animal. Our little 12-year-old was asking me if I'd ever done it before. I've ever meditated with a horse. Have I ever meditated with a pig? And I was like, well, I never thought about that. And then I thought that is brilliant, because they're frequency specific beings, right? So they will reflect, if you're emanating peace, they will reflect peace, you know, to you and lie down. I just have been handed a note by that aforementioned 12-year-old. So give me 1 second. Speak among yourselves.
Hello, Charlie.
Oh, we've just seen a brown snake.
Oh.
I've just seen a brown snake by the corner of the shed where my room is.
Is that what the
See?
note says?
Keeping it real, people. Keeping it real. You guys go and I'll have a look at it later. Which way? Sorry, I should mute myself. Well, do we just keep it real? This New Earth conversation. Which way did it go?
This is it. This is growing up. We have to
It went
deal with
underneath the
things.
grass.
You seen any snakes this year, Campbell?
I'm still in the suburbs, man. I'm still in the burbs, so I'll be standing next to Kelly in a couple of weeks. So I'm gonna run into a few, I think.
You'll probably see a few there. Actually, I hadn't seen one for
Can't go under.
I haven't seen one for years.
I haven't seen one since I was in Cairns like 20 years ago.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah, when I almost stepped on a king brown.
It was brown.
Yeah, well, I saw 3 or 4
Right,
in the
you guys
space
go.
of like a month,
That is
and I
like the
hadn't
doors,
I hadn't
right?
seen any for years before that.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
All right.
yeah.
Okay.
I don't
All
like
right.
the suburbs, the old
okay.
snaky wakies.
Mm-hmm.
Crisis
Just on
averted.
this conversation between me and mammal, the me and reptile, and the different realities. So I'll go and meditate with the pigs, but there's snakes willing to end my life around the corner.
Coming into your garden there, you better not listen to what it says. Might lead you astray.
Oh, the friggin' snake. I hope that one evaporates, man. I hope that one's gone. That fucking snake, I tell you. And goannas, beasts of these realms.
Goanna. Mm.
Yeah. Campbell's about to move into a snake den, aren't you, buddy? You ready? You got your balls feeling, protected enough?
I'm bringing a big stick. Big stick. Yeah, no, I was going to live in a tent, but I think we've decided I might get something a bit more solid. Keep the snakes out and get me through the winter time.
Yeah, man. What are you living in, Dale? You're in a bus at the moment.
He's a van man too.
Yeah. Just floating around in the van.
So
it needs a good clean out today, actually. It's a bit putrid at the moment.
Yeah, fair.
So have you got panels and everything, and you like off you got solar panels and water and stuff?
Yeah, I got solar panels, got water tank, cooking, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's good. Little fridge.
Nice.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
Where are you at the moment?
I'm just down in Melbourne at the moment.
Oh, you're in Melbourne.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, Campbell's moving to the Northern Rivers. So if you're in the area, I hear rumors, Dal. I've had a few phone calls from a few of your inverted commas producers and beings and people who've got it starting to whisper in my ear about a potential documentary that you've been invited to narrate.
Oh,
the
really?
fine voice.
Yeah. Well, I'm heading back up Northern Rivers too.
Nice. You're going to be there around the 15th of March next month, June. What's next month? April? No, I don't even know.
Actually, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there in April. I've got a friend coming over from New Zealand, and
nice. Well, you will have to hook up and drop in.
Yeah.
Well, I've actually invited your I don't know what the right word would be, but the people working with you to attend on the 15th in our Tartaria and Beyond show in Lismore. So and you know, if you're around Dale, you're welcome to jump up on stage with us and, you know, give you a few words, whatever it is going on, whatever you want to talk about.
I think I'll be settled there for a couple of months. So
yeah,
I'm
rock
down.
and roll, man.
Yeah.
So well, look, so
Awesome.
Dale is everyone out there in the land of
There
Tartaria
you go.
and
He's
beyond.
just committed 100%. He's going to be running the Lismore event.
Yeah.
Get your tickets to see Dale Holmes.
Lismore's an easy one. I'll go, definitely.
Awesome.
Yeah. No, Lismore's going to be fun. We actually were meant to be in Brisbane this show, but you know, something about the energy just kept taking me to Lismore. So Lismore it is, which makes total sense to me now that I know the direction the show's going, and it's moving away from the cities and into the rural sort of vibrational areas. So yeah, Lismore, 15th of April. And yeah, so anyone who's coming to the show, I think you'll be doing some vox popping with the producers of Dale's new project. You probably don't even know this yet, Dale. This might be news to you.
I'm doing what?
No, I'll be there. I'll be there. Definitely.
Awesome.
So just to wrap up this show, and I got totally distracted by the brown snake then. Where were we at? We were talking about conservative Christian God.
Yes, the swing
into
the middle
this
path,
next year. Yep.
nature.
Everyone, events so big, you just lose your faith, and then it's like, who are you going to put your faith in? That's a question. Like the trick, who are you going to put your faith in?
That's how I see
the answer is yourself.
The warping of reality. That's how I see the next few years. That everyone just goes, "What is this?" And then you're open to suggestion to be pulled in another direction. So
I agree. I think it's all about, you know, they talk about all this shadow work, and I really don't even know what that means, but it's really just about spending time with yourself, working out what you believe, trusting yourself. You know, learn to trust yourself, you know, above someone else's opinion, which you don't even know what that's based on. You know, and as far as the news and that, we know what these people are now and what their ethics are. So if you trust yourself and you can, you know, take in information and run it through your filters and get your own perspective, then it doesn't really matter what happens and what gets thrown at you. You can, you know, you can deal with it. So I think that's where we all need to sort of put our effort at the moment, is not in how do we change the world, how do we fix it, have you seen, you know, it's who are we and how are we gonna, you know, how do we see the world? And I guess it's rising above it, right? You know, like the middle path on the pyramid. Ooh, Illuminati. Get above and have a perspective, and then you can see it's all a show, right? And just don't get involved.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, the ye old shadow work. It feels like a very 90s term now.
Oh
we've done a lot of it. I've done a lot of it.
So
we all felt very pressured to do a lot of it. Very fucking pressured all the time. We do shadow work.
Shadow work's easy. You just look back and be like, oh, hey, I was an asshole.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, I admit it.
All right. I'll try not to be an asshole anymore.
But now I think the version of that sort of hard and work, you know, of like pouring out your soul and doing 6 months of fucking whatever retreat count, whatever, has this amount of like, you know what, lie down, let consciousness tweak your little blocked frequency band, just tweak it with a few words and then get up again. Because like the modern day version of shadow work, to me, what we're going into is it's a 30-minute session of someone just like tweaking your frequencies, and that's it. Like the end, you know, like we're just for frequency specific. Everything else we bring into it is just layers of
this
the play.
Is the thing, like all this, you know, all this focus on going back, you know, shadow work in your past and clearing the past and all. It's just putting focus on your bad points, right?
Ancestral trauma. How many times have you heard that?
Exactly,
fucking
right.
Ancestral trauma.
And it sort of goes back
We're
to the you're born with sin thing. There's something wrong with you, but you know, I think we can go forward faster if we just focus on the good points and how we did succeed, and obviously go, well, you know, I was an asshole then, won't do that again. But that's succeeding, right? That's what life is. That's why there's no mistakes. There's only mistakes, right? You take two because you learn how to do it better. And it's really all about self, you know, growing up, self-responsibility, leaving kindergarten, leaving the nanny state, all that kind of stuff, and trusting yourself.
Just being brutally honest about it, you know, because
Just be
when
like, like Mike Tyson.
be like, because when you're brutally
like Mike
honest,
Tyson.
you actually come across as really funny, and that's fun. Like the more brutally honest I am, people will laugh, and I'm sorry, this is not doesn't feel
But
too
isn't
bad.
it good that isn't it good that like have you guys found that, you know, in the last, you know, and it's accelerating obviously, but you can actually say stuff more now. Like we kind of self-censored ourselves a lot, I think, because we had this information and we're like, if I say that, people aren't going to get it. I'm going to look like a loony. But as we go forward, I'm finding I can just say more and more, and I'm not suddenly it's being, you know, I'm not the lunatic, right? It's being accepted and taken in. So that's.
Do you know what I've loved, Campbell? It's been like saving for me mentally. Is like you'd be the same. Like years of not being listened to.
Yeah, I know, right?
Now I talk, and there's like all these people listening to me.
What happened?
And they're like, "Oh, that's a good idea, Dale." I'm like, "I've never had that in my life," and it's like,
Exactly.
it's so good. It's like makes
I'm
you
the same, man. Totally the same, right?
Oh, listen, you two on the same as well, all right? I'm the
Yeah,
same.
yeah. Kelly's in there. Come on, tell me about the Kelly. What did you have? Oh, Kelly.
Oh, Kelly, that was my.
I had okay,
up.
Cam. Yes, Cam.
Okay, Cam.
What did you have, Dale?
Mine was always like, yeah, but like even if that's true, what's the point? I don't want to hear it.
Yes, Dale, but what's the point?
Oh, like, why do you waste all your time?
Yeah. Because in 2023, I'm going to be the smart guy. That's why.
Yeah, it was leading somewhere. Yeah.
All right, dudes. Well, listen, I've got a brown snake issue right this second.
Yes.
I've got someone screaming over there. I've got chickens screaming over here. Like, I gotta go.
Children. Think
Back
about
in
the
the
children,
new earth
man.
is demanding my attention right now. So awesome to catch up with you, Dale. Really, really nice as fucking always, man.
You
Like,
too.
cool.
Definitely,
No,
love that.
Yeah, it's just like I said, yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
Talking to you guys. I don't know. It's just, yeah, there's something else going on. I know you get it.
Yeah. It's nice, isn't it? Like not to have to be censor yourself in any way and like say stuff and actually, wow, okay.
So thanks, I appreciate it.
All right, and anyway, we've got like a couple of excellent years to get through now, like getting to observe and have these conversations.
Exactly.
You know, there's some cool shit that's gonna happen.
Yeah. And Dale has committed. He's going to make a show.
I'll be there.
More.
Yeah.
He'll be there, and obviously we'll hook up and hopefully have another chat. We can maybe sit down, right?
Yeah, because Campbell's moving to my farm, Dale. So you should come and have a.
Yeah, no, I'm in.
Oh yeah, we're gonna need extra hands to build my house. So come stay at the farm for a few weeks.
I'm not gonna be much in if you need me to dig a hole or something, I can do it.
Awesome.
All right, guys, I must go. Love you both, and I will speak to you soon.
Awesome.
Tartaria, Australia.
Bye,
guys.
Suits and ties, they got no love for what's alive. It's up to you, it's up to me, my human family. The time has come, my friends, to steer your will until it bends. Fill your heart until it breaks, and breathe for goodness sakes, and let it break down. Let it crumble to the ground. Can't stop the love rising within. Our realm could be flowing with joy, and the people will wake and yearn to be free, and the system will break. What makes you feel alive? All those dreams you've kept inside. Well, that little voice inside your head, you turn to it instead. system will break. When the sacred returns, all roads lead to peace, with antiquity to employ, and freedom will grow from mountain to sea, and Tartaria will rise greater than ever. No better place to be, with living waters and life so free. Embrace the mystery, the healing arts, the alchemy. They can't stop the love rising within. Our realm could be flowing with joy, and the people will wake, and you to be free, and the system will